Oh boy, somebody needs a haircut again. Hmm. So, some channels that I follow on YouTube have all reported that the official trailer for Star Trek Lower Decks has just popped up. Um, and their reactions are pretty clear as far as how they feel about the trailer. But I've never, well, I shouldn't say never, I've done one or two trailer reactions in the past, but usually it was being accompanied by somebody else. So I decided I'd take a try and do it by myself. So let's see what happens with this one. So I'll be watching the trailer for Star Trek Lower Decks, and the link will be in the description so you can watch it with me at the same time. So go ahead and press that play button in three, two, one, click. Fuck? Really? That's your. I've never seen Rick and Morty. I hear it's a good show. Um, okay. Uh, they're going to have full frontal nudity as the last shot of the trailer before they announce the thing. I'm like, why? Why would you do that? That's and you're doing it for. I've got nothing against Rick and Morty. In fact, I've never watched it, so like I don't care. But the problem is that this trailer is coming out right smack in the middle of the Kurtzman era, which is by far the worst that Star Trek has ever been. Like, this is worse than Voyager. This is worse than Enterprise. This is worse than how. Let me try again. This is worse than how Enterprise and Nemesis left us. Because, like, both of those had problems. Both of those were not well received. And you can think what you will of the Kelvin timeline. Of the Kelvin timeline, I will say that it is bittersweet. There are some good things, but they're equally balanced by a bunch of bad things. So I'm torn on the Kelvin timeline. The chances of that happening right now, if the rumors are to be believed, the chances are we'll never get another Kelvin timeline movie again, which, again, I'm torn on. I'm bittersweet about it. But as far as the Kurtzman era has gone, I've seen nothing of STD aside from the pilot episode that aired on broadcast TV. My family and I, we don't have CBS All Access, okay? So I've never seen STD. I've never seen Shit Treks, and I've never seen Star TP. And I've read summaries of those shows. I probably should have done this before I watched the trailer. But anyways, I've read official descriptions. I've seen memeable clips, if you can meme something that's awful. And I've read about changes to characters that we've known and the kind of universe that exists and things like that. And I I want nothing to do with the Kurtzman era because it is so antithetical, deliberately antithetical. At this point, it's deliberate. It's deliberately trashing on Star Trek. Star Trek, which was truly progressive at the time that it came out, and it was truly diverse when it came out, and it was politically centered. It did political stories, but they were always very well balanced. And the way that Kurtzman is running Secret Hideout, it's not Star Trek previously before the end of Enterprise and Nemesis. Star Trek was good at presenting ideals. It said, here's one side of the argument, here's the other side of the argument, and now it's time for you, the viewer, to decide what the best course of action was. Star Trek is good at not only presenting both sides, but it's also good at presenting here is a solution. Now leave it up to the viewer. What do you think of the situation? Please discuss it. Like, share, comment, and subscribe to our television series. Oh, wait, we don't have social media yet. Star Trek was and is, if you go back and watch the original series, regardless of the age, if you can kind of filter out the cheese of the time period, and you know that it's been almost 54 years, almost 54 years since the original series came out. If you can kind of filter out that, you can see, yeah, there is still legitimate stuff there. Of course, if you have it on repeats over and over and over and over, it kind of sinks in. And okay, they knew what they were talking about. That was actually progressive at the time. They had a black woman on the bridge. They had an Asian guy on the bridge. They had a Russian stand-in on the bridge. They had an alien on the bridge, and they had a Scotsman in the engineering room. Whatever. So, I mean, they had diversity at the time. Next Generation, same thing. Deep Space Nine, same thing. A lot of people are saying nowadays that Deep Space Nine is considered the best Star Trek series ever made. Even I mean, TOS might have kicked it off, but DS9 is it's very very much growing in popularity because it took what TOS and Next Generation were preaching about and threw them up against the wall of reality, and what happened. It turned out pretty doggone well because the things that we had learned about through Star Trek up to that point worked out really well because the people behind the camera gave a damn, and it showed throughout the entire production, through the costumes, through the props, the set designs, the special effects, the sound design, the casting of the actors themselves. When all the stuff behind the camera works in support of Star Trek, then Star Trek is at its best. Well, now we're right smack in the middle of the Kurtzman era. Here it is. It's what is today? July 12th, 2020. So we're right in the middle of the pandemic, and we're right smack in the middle of the Kurtzman era, and you can just tell it's zero effort. It's zero effort. They've seen one or two or three episodes, and they might pick a random recommendation that Netflix or Amazon Prime has thrown at them, or whatever has thrown at them, and they might watch those, but they'd be like on mute with the captions turned on, and they're writing notes based off of that. What am I talking about? They wouldn't be writing notes. They don't know anything they're doing. They're just kind of cherry picking. Like, oh, this is a popular episode. Well, was it The Measure of a Man? That was a popular episode. We'll just make something off of that. Oh, the Borg are really popular. Let's pick something from that, without understanding the context of why the Borg are so scary and why Data needed to be put on trial. Those were important things, and they discussed them. Hell, Data was on trial, so you literally heard both sides of the argument. It didn't say that sentient life is the future and you will like it or you're out of here. It didn't say that. It argued both sides equally well. And then it was up to the law in Canada. It was up to the law to decide how that works. Kurtzman Trek doesn't do that. It doesn't. It's just modern politics, modern racism, modern sexism, and modern identity politics and whatever it is. So, and if you this is Star Trek and you will like it, and if you don't like it, we're gonna Twitter ban you. That's pretty much what it is right now. Uh, Before 2005, Star Trek asked you to think. Modern Trek, under Secret Hideout's leadership, is this is how you think it, and you will enjoy it, and you will buy the products, and you will subscribe. So, Lower Decks comes in, and by the way, there's also the plagiarizing that Secret Hideout has been doing literally since the first season. The entire plot and majority of regular characters in STD were stolen from an indie game developer. Just outright stolen. Period. Visually, they were stolen. Their personalities were stolen. The plot lines were stolen. Secret Hideout stole from somebody else. So when Lower Decks shows up, what am I going to think about it? Because it's happening right in the middle of the Kurtzman era. Now, to be fair, as far as I'm aware, and I have no connections whatsoever, I have no insider connections whatsoever. I don't. But the leaks that have been coming out of Secret Hideout and Viacom CBS, most of them, not all, but most of those leaks and those rumors have come to pass. It really is that bad. It really is that chaotic. It really is that poorly thought out. It really is that insincere. But the weird thing is, up until just now, I haven't heard anything about Lower Decks. Like, it exists, and it's made by the guy who created Rick and Morty. Okay? But it's still right smack in the middle. It's still under the banner of Secret Hideout. No, the trailer here did not say if Secret Hideout is involved. Let me see. Oh, there's a thing here. Um, Star Trek Lower Decks premieres August 6th only on CBS All Access, which basically means I won't be able to see it until it gets to DVD or I decide to sail on the high seas. Okay. Developed by Emmy Award winner Mike Mahone, Rick and Morty, and Solar Opposites. Solar Opposites? I don't know. Star Trek Lower Decks, a new half-hour animated comedy series, focuses on the support crew serving on one of Starfleet's least important ships, the U.S.S. Cerritos. You might as well just call it the Doritos. Just get it over with. In the year 2380. You see already right there, there's a problem because they don't use the crap. What's it called? They don't use the Christian calendar of Anno Domini and before Christ. They don't use that calendar, so that should be a star date, not a year, not a because they don't use our years. They might use them for like past references if they're speaking to somebody who comes from the past or comes from modern times, then they would use the year. But why would they be using it here? Ensign Mariner Boimler, Rutherford, and Tendi have to keep up with their duties and their social lives, often while the ship is being rocked by a multitude of sci-fi anomalies. Okay, that's the official thing right there. Um, I'm gonna run this on mute again so I can just let's see. What's it called? The Cerritos? Yeah. Cerritos obviously is just straight up um, just stolen straight from Next Generation era. I mean, this is supposed to take place in Next Generation. The costumes are all saying it. The hallway is saying Enterprise Delta, and the shape of the Cerritos, or I'm going to call it the Doritos just because I can. You know, the Cerritos. Is it like the Centaur in Doritos? A Cenerito? Um, okay. But I'm not hugely opposed to the design. Although, if you're a regular Trekker, if you've been properly indoctrinated before 2005, or after, if you actually know and have studied actual Star Trek and not everything that I've just described here, then you will probably see nitpicks. This is a problem, this is a problem, this is a problem, this is a problem. So yeah, I can see there are some engineering design flaws associated with the Ceratos, but I'm not gonna make a huge deal out of it. Kind of the biggest thing off the top of my head is that the registry number and the name of the ship should be on the front. You should be able to see the hull number from the front. You should be able to see the name like this. You should be able to see the name and the hull number from the front. NCC blah 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 blah. But instead, they've got it on the back, behind the bridge, behind the command section. Why would you do that? Because that's the whole point of it, is to be able to see it from the front, and that's been a staple since 1966. So, actually, I'm gonna. So yeah, so the Ceratos. By the way, for the record, yes, this is from STD. So yeah, I already made a video on this. Check out the link in the description. Why did I say that? It's so shameless self-promotion. I mean, I shouldn't have done that, but at the same time, it's like, if you think I'm a hypocrite, please check out the video so that you understand why I picked up the Shephard-class ship. So, anyways, the Ceratos. It's just kind of okay. I'm not gonna make a huge deal out of it. At least not at this point. I mean, it's okay. I mean, it looks like TNG era. It looks like a kit bash. Although part of the problem is, oh, let's see if I can find a better picture of it. I have no idea what the front of those nacelles are. I suppose I'm nitpicking at this point. The shuttle design that they showed, that's plausible enough. Although why it's got a bunch of glowing stuff, why it's got glowing things on the back of the nacelles, that's usually not something that's happened for quite some time. At least not officially. I think the last time they did that would have been in the Kelvin timeline with the U.S.S. Franklin, which had the back of the nacelles were glowing, but also they had it glowing on the front. But having them glow on the back, that usually that's not something they did. So why they're doing it there, I'm not entirely certain. And really, that whole glowing thing in the back. Actually, I should have pulled the other one. The whole glowing engines on the back. That comes from the 2009 movie, where not on this replica, but the warp engine nacelles, they had lights. There was a glowing effect on the back, but that was the first. Excuse me. That might have been the first time ever. I think maybe like the U.S.S. Defiant from Deep Space Nine, that might have been an exception. So why it is that shuttlecraft has why it has a glowing things on the back of the warp engine nacelles, I don't know. But I mean, aside from that, it looks okay. It looks legit. Whatever. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about Star Trek being outright comedy. Star Trek has been known to have comedy moments, and I think that probably the funniest example would be Star Trek IV: The Voyage Home, which came out in the mid 1980s. And that was deliberately meant to be lighthearted. There's plenty of jokes and plenty of laughs and offhand stuff and things like that. But in terms of just that was meant to be lighthearted because the previous three movies had been relatively serious and there'd been dramatics and stuff that had been happening. And so Star Trek 4, director Leonard Nimoy, may he rest in peace, recognized, okay, we need to lift things up. We need to lighten the mood a bit on this. And so Star Trek 4 was deliberately lighthearted. Now, was it filled with slapstick comedy and commentary on modern day things? There was a little comedy, or I'm sorry, there was like a little slapstick mixed in there, but for the most part, it's not that kind of humor. It was all witty humor, which, by the way, I just so happen to agree with. So seeing something like this, I suppose maybe if I'd watched Rick and Morty and solar opposites, which I have no idea what solar opposites is. I have no idea. Maybe if I'd seen those, I could like feel the mood of what this guy had created on those shows. I don't know. But in terms of part of part of the thing of Lower Decks is I feel like it's building off of uh oh, what was that one episode? I don't think the episode was called Lower Decks. Was it the Ensigns of Command? No. There was an episode of Next Generation where we follow four ensigns, literal, low-level crew members, and they're all looking for promotions, and they're all wondering what the senior officers are thinking, and how best to impress them. And that episode was well received. Okay, whatever. And there's drama and there's humor and there's all kinds of things. And I just now noticed the thumbs up to thumbs down ratio. So as of this recording, it's currently at 2,700 thumbs up and 3,100 thumbs down. So right now the thumbs down have it. Are in the majority, and that's as of today, which is July 12th, and it's currently sitting at 245,000 views. So yeah, apparently the internet is right now it's kind of balanced which way it's going to go. Although right now it's kind of leaning towards thumbs down. Like right now it's leaning towards thumbs down. I mean, the trailer hasn't even been out for 8 hours. Excuse me. So it could go more positive. It could go negative. We don't know. Or they could just delete the thumbs up, thumbs down, and clear all the comments. I mean, it's not like they haven't done that before. So it's kind of the popular thing to do when you make a massive mistake and you want to blame the fans. You just okay. So, anyways, in terms of creating humorous scenarios and just being outright comedy, could Star Trek do it? Yes. Does Star Trek need that kind of thing? Sure. Why not? Um, so I'm kind of torn, but I can tell you when I saw the trailer, and this was 3 years ago, when I saw the teaser trailer for a competitor, which was called The Orville over on Fox TV, which is now part of Hulu. Um, when I saw the trailer for The Orville, I was laughing. I was like, "Oh, what is this? This is okay." I felt like I was willing to give it a chance. Like, oh, okay, it's clearly an homage to Star Trek, but it's on Fox TV. Okay, well, we'll see where it goes. We'll see where it goes. Also, I don't have to pay for it. Yay! So I should just watch it on broadcast TV. Cool. Um, so when I watched that initial teaser trailer, I was like, oh, okay, that's funny. I'll bet you when I go back and watch my initial reaction or whatever it is, I don't think I smiled very much. I don't. Well, I might have smiled like, oh, okay, that's kind of okay. That feels kind of familiar. But did I laugh? I don't think I did. I could be wrong, but I don't think I laughed. Like I didn't. Oh, so that immediately tells me there's a problem. Is that I'm not excited by this trailer, by what's actually happening in the trailer, what the trailer's trying to tell me. So, and it's going to be fart joke level stuff. So, wait, what was that? So the design of the bridge is pretty much next generation. It's the Enterprise Delta bridge, just a little more square, and you don't have the broad, sweeping horseshoe. The big wooden horseshoe. They just have kind of a wall right there. Um, I mean, they're obviously trying to put it in the TNG era. The graphics, the costumes, the ship itself, it's all TNG. So like they're trying to play on next generation nostalgia very much. I'm not going to complain too loudly about the costumes. I'm not gonna cry too loudly about that. And the bridge design looks like a spaceship design, whatever. So okay, I'm fine with that. Um, Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Oh, okay. Never mind. Never mind. I thought all those Borg drones were female. I was like, what? It's interesting. The Borg drones that they've selected here, those are all. They're less so. Um, uh, Post. Oh god, what's it called? First contact. They're not post first contact. These are more the kind of Borg that you saw from Next Generation era. That's what these and a little bit in Deep Space Nine. So these Borg were clearly inspired by the designs before the complete revamp that they got in First Contact. Is he supposed to be like the muscle of the group? There's a little. Oh, okay. I was going to laugh. I was going to say it was charming. And I was going to say, oh, yeah, they did that. And then I realized there's a problem with it. There's a moment in the trailer, it's at 1 minute, 3 seconds, where whatever character is pointing at the cutaway of the ship. And just above the shuttle bay, and this is kind of a traditional thing, there's literal Easter eggs that have been placed in the information displays, the cutaway views of the ship, because they stick it in there. You're not supposed to pay attention because the camera's not going to get close enough to where the viewer can actually see those details. So they stick them in there more for their own amusement than for it to be taken literally. Um, so there's just above the shuttle, the three shuttles there at the like I said, the 1 minute, 1 minute 3 seconds mark. If you look on the next deck directly above the shuttle bay, you will see. Really? Why'd they do that? That's weird. Okay, right above the shuttle bay, there's a pair of four-wheeled vehicles. I was like, oh, okay, there's your little Easter egg, and then I realized, oh shit, those are Argo off-road vehicles, which was a really bad idea, which is very much not Star Trek. That whole It's not that the Argo shuttle itself was bad. Actually, I thought it was kind of neat. But it's the four-wheel vehicle, which was very much put in there to appease Patrick Stewart at the time in 2001 when they were shooting. And it makes no sense whatsoever. And the sequence makes no sense. And why that scene even exists makes no sense. There were a lot of things wrong with Nemesis. So for them to be choosing to use those as their preferred Easter egg has me very concerned that they're going to turn around and use them in the actual show itself, which is a bad idea in my opinion because most people didn't like those did not like the ATV thing. They didn't like it. So why are they summoning it here? I was going to laugh at it in a charmed fashion and then I realized what they're pulling from and it's like of all the references you were going to pick, why did you pick that one? And if this is part of the main was it the multifunction display of the ship, you're going to be seeing it there all the time. They couldn't just come up with an original design. All right, so are these shuttle? So are they going to like paint the senior officers as like dominant assholes, where they can say anything and do anything and get away with anything they want to and not have to conform to Starfleet regulations? Is that what this is going to be? And then the lower deck guys are going to be, they have to put up with the literal shit that they're, is it supposed to be one of those kinds of things? Because I'll tell you right now, that's not what Starfleet's about. That's not what Star Trek is about. It's about everybody's working together and everybody's on the same page to not only advance humanity, but also to help the Federation to prosper, bring in more people, and not conquer, mind you, bring in outside races and bring enlightenment along with it, or further enlightenment, I suppose, without interfering in the natural evolution of said cultures. You don't want to get in the way with that. It's complicated, and I'm not going to get into it here. So if the senior officers are going to be, jerks and to all the underlings, and then they're turning around and they're slapping each other on the back and giving high fives, already I've got a problem with that. So I'm I'm not thrilled with that. That's going to be an issue. Also, are we supposed to um are these characters that we're going to these 4 or 5 characters we're going to be following, are they going to be able to advance up the chain of command over time? Or are they just like always going to be stuck down at the bottom? Is this like is this supposed to be like a blue collar show where they like never advance? Is that what it's aiming for? I'm I'm not sure. I don't watch a lot of sitcoms. I've never. I attached to a couple of sitcoms over the decades, but for the most part, I don't follow sitcoms, and I did not attach to it in any way. Actually, I rejected it to some degree. But there was a show called The Big Bang Theory, which ran for 7 or 8 years, something like that. I don't know how long. Initially, I liked it because, like, oh, they're haha, they're poking fun at geeks and nerds, and they're doing their homages and they're bringing in their guest appearances. But over time, it started to feel like they're not laughing with the geeks and nerds; they were laughing at the geeks and nerds, and then making a profit off of that. And so I quickly fell out of interest with. I never like committed to Big Bang Theory, but I quickly realized it's actually counter to uh, geekdom and nerddom or whatever it is. So I was not entirely thrilled with. Or I didn't. I distanced myself from Big Bang Theory. So the question becomes: are they going to do kind of the same thing here, where they're poking fun and they're using? I don't know. I kind of hope that these characters, there's an ability for these characters to advance. That would be something useful to see. That there's progression, not just for the characters, but like they're kind of forward thinking and they're not. Let's just make a bunch of jokes all the time and not take Star Trek seriously. Because like the question is Lower Decks Star Trek in that it advocates for, well, and yes, I'm going to use this word. Is it that it advocates for progressivism without being racist or sexist or modern day politics? Can it be progressive without leaning on those 3 things? Which is what Kurtzman era is currently doing. Which is what Kelvin Timeline did not do. Kelvin Timeline was something different, but Kurtzman era is definitely leaning on those 3 things, and all 3 of those things are things that Star Trek has never, ever been a part of. So the question is this just a comedy, an animated comedy that takes place in space, no rhyming intended, and they just took the name and the appearance of Star Trek and they kind of spray painted across the top of it? Is that what Lower Decks is going to be? I can watch the Orville and you just know that it's an homage to Star Trek. But it's not trying to copy Star Trek. It's a love letter. It's an homage, and you can tell the difference. You can always tell the difference between, they're just recreating what Star Trek had done and just taking what Star Trek had established and going in its own direction based upon what Star Trek had done in the past. And that's what the Orville is. So the question is this just, I mean, if you took away the LCARS displays and you took away the view screen and you took away the uniforms and you took away the shape of the ship, would it still be Star Trek? The philosophy of Star Trek, the ideals of Star Trek, the wisdom of Star Trek. That's what I'm looking for here. You can spritz it, or let me try that again. You can put as much comedy into it as you want to, but at the end of the day, if it doesn't say in its heart and its mind behind the scenes Star Trek, then this is just wasted space. And that's what I'm concerned about. Is this just a comedy that takes place in outer space and they spray painted Star Trek across the front of it? Oh, look, it's Star Trek. It's Star Trek. Is that what they're trying to do? Because if that's what they're trying to do, then I'm not even going to bother. Have there been other animated comedies that take place in space? Yeah, sure. Have I watched any of them? There were one or two, but like I didn't like. Okay, I'm not going to give examples, but like I'm not, I'm not a huge animated comedy person. That's not my thing. That's not my particular brand of humor. So this brand of humor already I'm not happy with. So like that's kind of the first thing is the type of humor I'm not interested in. But is this Star Trek in name only? That's been the problem since 2009. Star Trek in name only, which is pretty much all we've had since 2009, and we still have to this day. The question is, does Lower Decks break that trend by actually being Star Trek, even if it's a comedy, a 2D animated comedy? That's the question. What's she called again? The Ceratos? Ceratos? What does that name mean? Ceratos? I don't know. It might be a real name or something. I don't know. It's kind of a Ceratos is kind of an unbalanced kind of thing. Unbalanced, yeah, sure. Says the guy who says the guy who has more than one incarnation of the Enterprise, and these and this and that and that. Oh yeah, that looks unbalanced. Have you seen this thing in the last 55 years? Just or 54 years? Just saying. It looks unbalanced. Unbalanced as in knowing what starship designs look like and kind of the laws of physics behind them. It's like it looks like, what? So why would you put the here's another trekker kind of thing. Like, why would you put the navigational deflector between the warp nacelles, especially between the warp engine grills, and also behind the warp nacelles? That's usually that's a no-no. So why would you do it that way? Also, since there are windows on that, I guess that's the engineering hall. I don't know. Since there are windows there, does that mean that there are people working down there? Because like they're going to have a hell of a time. Because like if some kind of emergency happens, where are the where are the emergency escape pods? I'm curious now. Do they have any? Yeah, they do. Yeah, the top of the saucer has does have emergency escape pods. So the question is, are there escape pods on that engineering hull? I'm a little curious about that. That is something you have to think about. Star Trek is notorious for taking just taking the TOS Enterprise design, and we're just going to take the warp missiles from up here. We're going to put them down here, and we're going to take our engineering hull and we're going to stick it up here. It's been doing that for 54 years. I'm not gonna get in the way of that. It just is what it is. And so I'm trying to not play that particular game here. Like, okay, let's just rearranging. I suppose I am already playing the game. I don't know. But there's kind of there, but like there's some things that tell you this is a legitimate Star Trek design or Star Trek starship design versus something that's just kind of fan made, thrown together design. Just because you can doesn't mean you should. And if this is to be brought into canon, then it needs to be number 18 on trending, huh? All right then. Number 18, not number one. Turn it on, turn it off, turn it on, turn it off, turn it on, turn it off, turn it on, turn it off. Sounds like Family Guy. Was that a Bolian I just saw? Yeah, why? The very last thing you see before they show the title. Yeah, the thing before they show the title is, and that's at 1:59, 1 minute 59 seconds. Guy's naked. Why? Why would you do that? I don't care if it's like Star Trek had artistic nudity, like it was there for a reason, but it was like maybe once per series. Maybe once per series, and this is your pilot episode, and already he's censored. He's censored, which means he's going to be outright naked. He's going to be outright. I don't need to see that. I really don't. Certainly not in my pilot episode. My pilot episode, whatever. I'm not thrilled with that. If you wanted to, you know, it, I hate to sound like a straight white male, but I'd rather see a naked female than a naked guy. I wonder if that was deliberate for them to do that. Like, I don't know. Why is he even naked? Like, I don't. Why is he naked? I'm gonna run this again. I'm gonna run this again. All right, I'm gonna run it again in three, two, one, click. Why is her shirt open and she's showing cleavage? Like that's a Deanna Troy thing. That's dumb. Oh, I paused it. Um, what did that guy say? Keep it moving, lower decks. Every part of the ship is important. Every member of the crew is important, regardless of if they're ensign, first class, or commodore or whatever it is. Everybody's important to the maintenance of the ship, to the maintenance and function of the ship. If this is supposed to be a blue collar comedy, blue collar white collar comedy, and you're using a nickname like if an officer, if a high up officer, like the commander, the chief engineer, the captain, or whatever, if one of them is using that phrase to keep somebody in the place, there is such a thing as command to discipline, and that is necessary. But you don't do it by calling somebody a nickname, by giving them a nickname or whatever it is. In fact, that's addressed in uh, it was either the first or second episode where they had Lieutenant Reginald Barclay in Next Generation, where the captain accidentally said the nickname that the officers had given him. He accidentally slipped on the name in right in his face. He said the name you're not supposed to name right in his face, and then he immediately apologized. This guy just said, stay in place, lower decks, or remember who you are, lower decks, and literally slammed the door in her face. What? That's the. There was even an episode of Star Trek Voyager where they did this as well, where Captain Janeway is doing a tour of the ship because that's what captains do, whatever, and she realized that there were a number of crew members who had kind of fallen by the wayside over the course of time and needed to be kind of bolstered up. And so what did she do? She found a simple assignment, or I'm sorry, she found a simple away party, or I'm sorry, yeah, away mission where they're on a shuttle, and she brought them along with based on their individual talents, and she tried to help get them up. If this teaser trailer was the exact opposite, you're gonna stay in place, lower deck. The fuck? Why would you do that? That's not at all what Star Trek works. That's not how it works. I don't care if this is comedy or not. You don't do that. If you want to be, you certainly don't say that kind of a derogative thought out loud to the people on the lower decks. And by the way, I should point out the lower decks of the ship and the upper levels of the ship, this is not the hierarchy where you're at the bottom level, you're an ensign, and then you not just metaphorically but literally work your way up the decks to the command deck. That's not how Starfleet works. There are ensigns on the bridge, there are ensigns in engineering, there are ensigns in navigational control, there are ensigns in environmental control. There's low tier officers all over the place. So this idea that you're brand new to the ship, you're going to start on the bottom and literally work your way up, that's bullshit. Now it may just be, and they better be clear about this in the show. It may just be that these four characters start out just so happen to be assigned to the bottom of the saucer. That's entirely possible, and okay, whatever. But if that I'm guessing, is he like the first officer or something, or is he the captain? I don't know. He's got two pips. Yeah, he's got two pips, so that would make him a commander. Although they probably don't care about that. But anyways, this is very clearly a higher level officer. Why would he call her lower decks to her face and then slam the door in her face? Why would you do that? You in Star Trek you would not do that, because that's establishing a hierarchy. That's establishing domination. Again, there's command structure, which is all well and good, but if the senior officers are going to be belittling and insulting those below them, well, then you're going to have a less efficient crew and a less efficient performance out of your starship. That's not how you do it. Or if like I'm already hating on this guy with the blonde hair and the red uniform. I'm already hating on this guy. I have no idea who he is, and I'm already hating him. So, all right, so you didn't have to belittle the intelligence of Chekhov or Uhura or Sulu or even Scotty in Star Trek 4. Star Trek 4: The Voyage Home, and that was in the mid 1980s. Was it 86 or 85? I don't remember. But you didn't have to drop the intelligence on screen of those characters in order to have funny moments for all of them. Did Uhura even have a funny moment? Yeah, when she was with Chekhov in San Francisco, they were looking for the nuclear whistles. There was that, which is great. So great. What else did she do that was funny in that movie? But even if Uhura was not the center of a joke, or she was not the one telling a joke, or whatever, her intelligence was never dropped down. These characters, they're all stupid. I can understand rookie level characters, fresh from Starfleet Academy, and that's all well and good. But keep in mind, Starfleet's supposed to be the best and brightest that the Academy has to offer. Every single class, you're the best and the brightest, and of course, within that, whatever. But having lowering the intelligence levels. Oh, I totally didn't recognize my face. It was set to accidentally kill. No, no, yeah, it was absolutely set to stun. Why? What? Why would you drop the intelligence? These are Starfleet officers. They're supposed to be smarter than that. Are you really going to graduate an idiot like that? Maybe I'm starting to ramble a bit at this point, but I'm not attaching to this. I don't know these characters all that well, and I'm already poking holes in it. Just if and having seen this a second time with a pause in the middle, having seen this a second time, this does not feel like Star Trek. It's spray painted on. It's in the title. It's in the title card, and the spaceship looks the starship looks like a Star Trek type ship, which okay, and I've got bugaboos about it, but I can dismiss that, whatever. But like that ship could look like anything, and it wouldn't really make any difference. The uniforms could look like anything. The props could look like anything. By the way, they're still using the remote controllers from Next Generation. Um, there's no. I saw the Borg, and I saw a what's that one species? The blue skin, the whole not Andorians, but the other ones. Boralans? No, that's wrong. That's wrong. Bolians. Bolians. So I saw a Bolian. Okay. But I didn't see any Klingons. I didn't see any Vulcans or Romulans, and maybe they're in there. I don't know. Um, so like, there's only what two species I recognized, and the Borg aren't even a species. They're a collective of multiple species, just like the Federation is. It's like calling the Federation a species. It's not. So the Borg, doesn't really count. So really, there's only one species I could recognize off the top of my head that's reminiscent of Star Trek. Now, granted, you will want to bring in new species that have not been seen before, because you got to leave your individual mark, and that's fine. That's fine. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Oh, there's an Endorians. Okay. Oh, I just realized is she supposed to be a an Orion? Is that what they're going for the green girl? I don't know. Because like Orion females are notorious for being sex fiends. I mean that's established in canon. They're sexually hungry all the time. So like, is she supposed to be an Orion female, or is it just a species they made up on the fly? Just kind of an alien. Because like green skin in Star Trek, and I'm immediately thinking to myself, either Gorn or what's the other one, or Orions. Those are kind of the two green skinned aliens I could think of off the top of my head. So there are probably others, but you know. So is she supposed to be an Orion? Like maybe if she had purple skin, purple hair, that that would be okay. But if she's green skinned with green hair, well, I suppose she's not Orion just because her hair is not black. So okay, she might not be. She might not be an Orion. I could be wrong on that. I could be wrong. Also, is she supposed to be a scientist or a medical personnel? I'm not sure. Also, that's disgusting to have her holding the guy's functional guts, whatever that is supposed to be. I'm fairly certain that's like his heart or something like that. Wait a minute, isn't that the officer from that was? Oh wow, it might be a member of the group. Fuck is going on here? This is supposed to be funny. Oh, by the way, it looks like zombies. I'm so fucking sick and tired of zombies. Come on, Hollywood, drop it already, please. Zombies are so don't have to think about it bullshittery. What'd that say? Let's see, is there a 47 in here somewhere? Oh, the text isn't big enough for that. Why would holodecks produce waste? Like they wouldn't. Uh, It's funny. I actually had a conversation with somebody the other day about um, activities that happen in holodecks. Who has to clean up afterwards? Maybe that's what they're trying to say here, but on the other hand, no. So the captain is a black female, which immediately makes me suspicious. 5 years ago, this would not have been an issue. 5 years ago, this would not have been an issue. But I see a black female in charge of as captain of the ship, and I'm immediately suspicious. Just call me paranoid. I think at this point, yeah, I am paranoid, but we kind of have to be at this point, considering the bullshit we've had to put up with since Hollywood went woke about 4 years ago. Yeah, I'm paranoid now. All of a sudden, I don't want to be. That's not what trekkers are, but that's just the way that that this country is operating right now. So I'm sorry. I don't want to be that, and I am not that. But God, fucking damn it, I'm paranoid now. Fuck me. I shouldn't even that shouldn't even cross my mind. That shouldn't even cross my mind. The captain is female and the captain's black. That shouldn't even be a matter. That was the whole fucking point that Roddenberry was trying to make in 66. That was the whole point. And now here I am. I'm having to consider it. God fucking damn it. Also, I'm fairly certain that defeating the Borg in hand-to-hand combat usually doesn't work. So, why you is he a cyborg or is he? I don't know who this character is. Calm down, Ava. Calm down. So I guess he's like the Geordie fill-in, or the Geordie LaForge fill-in, or is that what he's supposed to be? I don't know. But even if he's not, defeating the Borg in hand-to-hand combat's usually a bad thing because they're just physically stronger, and the whole idea is you touch them and you're assimilated. Like there is no exception. You can shoot them, and maybe you can, but they also have shields. They have personal deflector shields, which are very adaptable. So the fact that this guy can take them all out, I've got to question what kind of Borg these are. He's literally pulling arms and eye sockets out. We all know how well that went over in Star TP 4 months ago. So who is this guy? Yeah. Oh, at 57 seconds, 0:57 seconds. The guy, the officer who's patting the cyborg character, I don't know his name. He's a Bajoran because he's got the wrinkled nose and then he's got the earring. That's a Bajoran. Okay, all right. That's something that we haven't seen Bajorans. We haven't seen many Bajorans in Starfleet. So okay. So that's another species I recognize. Okay, so there's a little more diversity on there. Okay, fine. All right. Any other Easter eggs? No. What is that? That would be. No, no, no. Not good. Trying to look at this multifunction display by pausing it. Wait a minute. The bridge isn't even deck one. The bridge is on deck two. Huh? Okay. I'm looking for Easter eggs right now. I really hope that's a cargo transporter at 1 minute 12 seconds. I really hope that's a cargo transporter because it's in the middle of a big room with a door and cargo containers off to the side there. So that better be a because what I do not want them to do is pull what they did on Enterprise, where the transporter was just this little alcove that was attached to the side of, or was literal hole in the wall with a little control stand off to the side. You could walk right past it and not even know it was there. I don't want them to do that here again because that was something about Enterprise that I did not like. So that had better be a cargo transporter because it's the only justification I can think of to have a transporter in the middle of such a large room. At 1 minute 19 seconds, that kind of in the top right corner, that kind of reminds me of the air tram that Admiral Kirk was aboard in Star Trek: The Motion Picture. That's in 1979, by the way. Reminds me of that. Maybe that's what their shuttles look like, but I can't see. Um, I can't see the nacelles on it. So, God, I think the pilot episode is gonna have zombies. They already have zombies in Star Trek. You know what that's called? It's called the Borg. And the Borg are actually better in terms of being zombies. I mean, they're a zombie stand-in, but still zombies, like actual zombies. Oh, that pisses me off. Ceratos is not something I would get behind. Like having the nacelles, the pylons and the nacelles coming um, directly out of the bottom of the saucer. That doesn't bother me, but um, it's the location of the navigational deflector down there. That's the problem. I wonder if that's also the shuttle bay at the same time. Unless it's like the Enterprise Delta where the shuttle bay is just behind the main bridge. It's on like deck 2 or 3 or something like that. So maybe they do something like that. How long is this going to be till this? They said August what? August 6th. Hmm. So that's what, 2 weeks from now? 2.5 weeks from now? 3.5 weeks from now? Of course, it's on CBS All Access again, which means they're cutting off even more of their. Well, maybe they put it on All Access just because they've got full male frontal nudies, so maybe that's what they did. I'm gonna hit refresh. So okay, so when I last looked at it, it's at 245,000 views, 2,700 thumbs up, 3,100 down. So I'm gonna hit refresh and see if the numbers have changed. Oh goodness. Okay, yeah. So 265,000. So we're at 2.9 thumbs up. Is that right? Yeah, 2. What did I just say? 2.3, I think, thumbs up. But now it's at 3.6. So clearly more thumbs down have come in since I started just since I started watching. How long ago? An hour ago. Well, I'm gonna cut this down. I was expecting this to be a short reaction, not a long one. Whatever. I'm gonna watch this again in 3, 2, 1. Click. Where's the shuttle bay? Shuttle bay's on that pod. What? It's only half-hour episodes. It it this could be anything, including Star Trek. This is so it's generic. This is generic humor, and what do I want here? I want an announcement that Star Trek is back. I don't want a generic one size fits all. Just so happens to have phasers and shield generators, and you can't just spritz across the top and call it Star Trek. They tried to do that in 2009. It didn't work. They tried to do that in 2017 with STD. It didn't work. They tried it again in 2018 with Shit Treks. They tried it again in 2020, and it still didn't work. So, I think that's what this is. Like, it doesn't just this 2 minutes and 15 seconds and me spending how long on it, it feels like any kind of generic one size fits all sci-fi show with just some visuals put over it. That's what this feels like. Because I'm a trekker. I'm a lifelong trekker. I know my Star Trek. CBS All Access, or I'm sorry, Viacom CBS, they need to convince me after the last 10 years, 11 years of bullshittery, they need to convince me that this is Star Trek. And right now I'm not seeing it. This this doesn't feel like Star Trek. And by the way, I'm not even going to be able to watch it. I'm not even going to be able to watch it because it's on a pay-per-view channel. Well, not no, it's not pay-per-view, but it's on a it's behind a paywall. I'm not going to be able to see it. At least not. I'm not going to be able to see it until it goes on DVD. And if I watch it on DVD, that will be very dependent on how uh, the word that I get through the internet. If they're saying that this episode is about this and this character behaved this way, and I know from my lifetime experience of Star Trek that that's not what Star Trek does, then I'm not even going to bother. They will have lost me because right now, uh, what Bad Robot and Secret Hideout, and by extension Viacom CBS, what they have done in the last 11 years is they've put me on the defensive. So this needs to be the case where they're convincing me, yes, this is Star Trek, and here's how it's going to be Star Trek. You can't just spray paint a generic sci-fi 2D sci-fi in space and then call it Star Trek because that won't work. I don't care if it's a comedy or it's a drama or it's a dramedy or it's whatever it is. If it doesn't feel like Star Trek, then it doesn't matter how flashy your graphics are. It doesn't matter what your spaceships look like. It doesn't matter how funny the jokes are. It doesn't. If it's not Star Trek, then it does. Then it's all for naught. And considering what Viacom CBS has been throwing at us since 2017, and literally throwing at us and demanding that we watch and demanding that we purchase, I'm already on the defensive. I'm already. I'm not going to waste my time with this thing. They need to hook me with this one trailer alone because I'm not going to be seeing it until after the trekkers who are watching it until they have processed it. So I'm I knew nothing about Star Trek Lower Decks until this trailer happened. And I'm already not convinced. I'm already thinking, oh, great, it's just more of saying. Now, I think it's going to be woke? Aside from that tangent I had a little bit ago about the captain, I'm not seeing woke yet. That doesn't mean it's not there. It just means I'm not seeing it here. We knew that Star TP was going to be woke just from trailers. You didn't even have to watch the show to know it would be woke. Shit Treks, we knew it was going to be woke just from trailers. STD, we knew it was going to be woke just from the trailers. So in this particular case, I'm not seeing woke, but that's just a trailer. So the fact that it's not woke in the trailer where you're supposed to hook them in, that's a good sign, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's appealing to me as a tracker. And that's the difference. Is my shirt inside out? Oh, okay. That's the main difference. This trailer just feels like a generic one size fits all sci-fi comedy, whatever. And I've seen one or two of those. Like, okay, whatever. But is it Star Trek? Off the top of my head, no. It is Star Trek in name only. If they can convince me over the course of the first season that it is actual Star Trek with comedy bits spritzed in, okay, but you need to have Star Trek in your trailer. Right now, I'm not seeing it. When that one officer he says, get back to work, lower deck, that immediately told me something's wrong. Like, the fuck? You know, I think I'm gonna close it out here. I'm gonna hit refresh again. Let's see. So, thumbs down was 3,600. 3,600 became 3,700. So it's dropped another 100. But it is up to 3,000 likes. So it's still kind of balanced out. But very clearly the thumbs down are ruling right now. I'm not basing my opinion on the thumbs down. The thumbs downs are just I'm just wondering what are other people thinking? Oh, they're not liking it. So it's still kind of middle of the road. It hasn't really pushed one way or the other at this point. Not really. If it's kind of I mean we're only talking 700 thumbs here. Only 700. So that's enough of a margin of error. It's still relatively equal at this point. Now if I come back to my ooh, okay, this trailer they've got showing here or not trailer. I'm sorry, but the thumbnail, the default when I hit refresh and it's not playing. It's um, already there's a next generation era shuttle right there. There's actually I'm gonna blow this up full size. Okay, so in here there's a Klingon bird of prey on the left side. Now that's okay. Jar Jar Abrams, that's a fucking Klingon bird of prey. Alex Kurtzman, that's a fucking Klingon bird of prey. Fuck the both of you, okay? Fuck y'all. That's a TNG era shuttle, which is fine. On the top right corner, in the top right corner, that's actually, next to the Certos. That's actually not bad for a ship design. It kind of looks like it's like if you took the Enterprise D, you got rid of the saucer, or you like kind of half got rid of the saucer. Instead of having the nacelles curl upward, they just stayed horizontal. That's kind of what that looks like. It's like, oh, okay, actually that would be more interesting than the thing they came up with. Like, huh? What? And there's space dock from Star Trek 3. I don't know what that is, and I don't know what that is. So, bleh. I think I'm gonna close it up here. I don't think I don't think this is gonna work. I don't think this is gonna work, and I'm gonna wait to change that judgment until the end of the season. However long it's going to be. This is made during the Kurtzman era. This is made during the era of woke Hollywood. Get woke, go broke. That's when this show was made, and it feels like I don't know who, Mike Mahone or Mike McMahon or how you say his name. Uh, I know nothing about the guy. I know nothing about his politics. I've never seen Rick and Morty. I'll say it again. So like I'm not attacking him. I'm not attacking him. It's they brought him in to make a comedy, and so he made a comedy. They told him to make it about Star Trek, so he made a Star Trek comedy. So whether he's a trick or not, I don't know. I can't say. I don't know. Um, but I don't know. I'm not. I'm not feeling it here. I'm just not feeling it. I'm not feeling it. I'm not hating this trailer. I want to make that clear. I'm not hating it. It's just I'm not convinced. There's a difference there. So I'm not how dare they. That's not what I'm doing. What I'm doing is I'm just okay, it exists, but it doesn't really feel like Star Trek. So I'm disappointed, but I'm not angry. I'm not raging, all those things. I can't wait to see what the other sites and channels I follow. I can't wait to see what they think about this. So I'm wondering they're probably going to be a bit more in depth about it than I am. So, but how in depth have I been? An hour and 22 minutes. That's pretty in depth, Ava. Good grief. This was supposed to be short. Hmm. I don't think I'll be getting the Eagle Moss replica of the U.S.S. Centaurium. Or what's the name of it? What's it called? Ceratos. My bad. Ceratos. I'm not going to be getting a. If they make one, I don't see myself getting one. How would they even mount that? Now that I think about it, that'd be a very strange display stand they'd have to set up for that. Hmm. All right. Star Trek Lower Decks. Meh. And so with that, this is AV Unit 4A saying thank you for tuning in.